And again, hi. I don't know if this is going to be the last video I'm going to make about bits. I'm going to be probably talking about it for a while, but this is going to be my last official video. If I can make such a pronouncement, my last official video for Bricks in the 6 2024. I'm still getting over it. I haven't had this kind of convention high since BrickFest. And there's a subtle difference between BrickFest and Bricks in the 6. So BrickFest, I knew the people, the cast O characters, the malcontents, the ne'er-do-wells who were running it. They were close personal friends of mine for ages, and we did lots of shows beforehand, like all the hobby shows I keep on mentioning and stuff. So BrickFest was important for me to present something to make that successful because my friends were running it, and my close personal friends who've been to my house, and we celebrated birthdays over years, blah blah. So all the BrickFests, like every single one, there was such a high after it that it was weeks, weeks before I came down into reality and just couldn't, it took the doctors 2 hours to get the smile off his face. Deep cut. If you got that reference, it took the doctors 2 hours just to get the smile off his face. 240 volts. Anyway, I haven't seen it in like 40 years, 30 years. Anyway, I want to be very clear. I really appreciated the previous BrickFest. I mean, the Bricks in the 6s that I was at. I missed the first one for my own personal reasons. But I got to the last 3, and they're fantastic. And again, most of my friends that were at BrickFest were here at Bricks in the 6. And over the years, I got to know the organizers and the people who run it and blah, blah, blah. And come to really appreciate them as friends and whatever. But that's not the reason why it takes a long time to get over a Lego convention. And a Lego convention for me is multifaceted. My first one was going back to BrickFest 2004. Now, I was on Lugnet then, and BrickFest were running for a few years before that. I'm not sure it was 1999 or 1998 or 2000 with the first Lego convention that Christina won. But I got to 2004. Callum and I drove down, and that was great. I got to meet all my friends that I've been talking to online for ages and getting in arguments in OTD. Again, deep cut for those Lugnet fans. If there are any out there, Lugnet, still my homepage. On all my PCs, all my personal PCs is still my homepage. Even when I get a new PC, homepage. I said, I am a man of rote and repetition. So there was BrickFest, and then there was then I got to Brick World Chicago in 2010. So that was a huge difference. That was 6 years difference between BrickFest and Brick World, and a fundamentally different experience. Definitely a fundamental different experience. Again, BrickFest wasn't massively huge worldwide, although there's people from all over the world that were at BrickFest. It wasn't a massively huge thing. Brick World is just like, I'm going to say this to any Lego fan out there. You have to experience Brick World at least once in your life just to experience it, because it is massive. It's just huge. I still think it's still the biggest one in the world. And then Janie started BrickFest a year after, and I went to quote unquote most of the BrickFests, and loved every single one of them. And then there was the Brickomania that I got to, which is fantastic. And then the small shows, the Brick Awesomes, fantastic. And lovely. And I'll go to the ones I can get to. And this is the balancing of life and finances and time and how can I get there. I can't just drop at the drop of a hat and go to a convention, not yet anyway. And I want to bring the layout, so whatever. But anyway, so Bricks in the Six was subtly different than Brick Fete, but I was still riding high today for Bricks in the Six, as I would have been if it was a Brick Fete. And it's, as I say, multifaceted. It's the people, it's the displays, it's the ambiance, it's the comfort zone, it's the catching up, it's the literally everything. And it's hard to, there's no one single facet that's more important than the other in any of that. Public days, I adore public days. And again, this is the hobby that wears a million different hats. You can be whoever you want to be. You can be right in on the volunteering for literally everything and go to all the symposiums that you can get to and all the workshops and whatever, and participate in all the activities. And I gonna admire you from a distance for that. I want you to know that that's a perfectly wonderfully valid way of handling a brick convention, a Lego brick convention. I am not that person, but I love the stories, and I like the enthusiasm. I'm standing there working my layout, and these people are walking out of their whatever workshops or whatever they're doing, and there's huge smiles on their face, and they're happy and whatever, and they talk and blah blah, and they're mile a minute about how fantastic it was. And I love the enthusiasm, right? I just absorb other people's enthusiasm. And then there's people like me who don't do any of that overall. I show up when I show up, and that's just how I've always conducted my life. And it might not be, it's not anybody else's cup of tea. That's perfectly acceptable. It's my cup of tea. And overall, because of who I am, in my mind state, the way it's always been, is I really do, and I don't know why, and it is who I am. I focus on my display, and especially the one I'm bringing, that it has to be, as I mentioned, it has to be as valid in function and substance, I guess, to make it highfalutin, as valid of substance and function as it can be. And so I if I was in a symposium, if I was in a workshop, I'd be thinking about the layout straight up. So that's just what, maybe that'll change in the future, but right now that's the way it is. But all weekend I had a very, very fun, relaxing, enjoyable time with like-minded people. And I think that's what this also comes down to. I got to hang around like-minded people for an entire 4 or 5 days that enjoy this hobby and make no judgments about how other people are conducting themselves in this hobby. And there was a few people that I missed that I wish were there, that I believe should have been there, but I'm not going to talk about that. but that's just me. It's just this hobby, as I say, multiple hats. I had some really, really nice dabbling surface level on deep topics with some people there, so few people there, that I really, really was enjoying for their personal angst about where they're going in their world. And I'm glad they could open up to me in a small fashion, not like deep philosophical whatever, but we got to talk on a very, very surface level about certain things, certain aspects of their lives and the direction they want to take it in. And it was great. I got to spend some time with that kind of chat with a friend. And I also got to catch up with other friends who I was mildly concerned. I did. Mildly concerned about them before and seeing them now, and so thumbs up. But I got to catch up with them to make sure they're happy in their walk of life, the direction they're walking in, right? And this is what I always come back to for me. I'm walking in this direction, and I can't keep on beating that dead horse, but I am walking in this direction because it makes me happy to walk in this direction. And nobody has thus far made a point that I shouldn't be walking in this direction, because I'm a man who can be convinced by a good argument. But nobody's made a good argument to tell me that I shouldn't be walking in this direction. Some people have tried to say I shouldn't be walking in this direction, but all their arguments were fallacious and or just fatuous. So oh well, I'm still gonna walk in this direction because I'm comfortable. So, but or was I about to probably? So when I meet people who are in this hobby and anywhere else in my life that are having some sort of personal struggles with their life, about various things that the 21st century has that the century I grew up in didn't. Overall, I like to think I'm very keenly aware of that, and just a listening ear. I make no judgments. I really do make no judgments on lifestyle choices, and I just want people to be happy. As adults, we should be able to be who we want to be. As long as it's not, and I mentioned this before numerous times, as long as it's not negatively impacting on literally anybody else, then you should be able to be who you are. And again, I'm going to use this nomenclature of the day, who you were born as. So anyway, that's who I am. I'm a very, very big proponent of people being who they are. So, I have friends and relatives that are in the LGBTQ community, whatever the rest of those letters are. I'm old, so I'm not going to remember all of it, but it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me who they are. They're still my friends. They're still my cousins. They're still my relatives. They're still my relatives' kids. So, and they're trying to have their life the way they want it. So who am I? Who is anybody else to tell them they can't be who they are? And I'm not going to even try to bring my childhood into this, because again, I lived an extremely blessed life where I was fully supported overall for everything I wanted to do and who I wanted to be. But there were times in my life, and then, again, this is not even a remotely good comparison, but there was times in my life when I'm playing with Lego at 16, 17, 18, and 19, and there were people out there who didn't appreciate me doing that, and they let me know as bullying or name calling or whatever. I always said water off a duck's back, but I don't remember anything specific now because it's all in the distant past. But there was some picking on, as you're being picked on for being who you are. And that's not even a remote comparison, because this is a hobby that I chose to do and I chose to love, versus somebody who is born this way, that they are who they are, and it goes contrary to previous society. So I had it easy. I really had it easy. And so I try to be very, very cognizant of my blessing of being who I am, which is a cis white male guy living in Canada with a good job and whatever, and a wonderful family. Like that, just those three things: cis white, heterosexual, for male. That comes with a whole bunch of, I forget the words because I'm tired. Blessings. Just by being that, right? I never had to fight to be who I am. I never had to fight that. I was just accepted. So I accept other people as they are, and again, if they're not doing anything negative towards anybody else, who cares? Why is this even an issue? But anyway, I'm going to stop that topic. But I got to hang around some of my friends at this show that they're much younger than me, and they're having these issues in their life, and they're struggling a little bit, and I was concerned. and we caught up, and it was great. So, anywho, and from my perspective at the show, it was accepted. I did not ask them, but I did not witness anything that was derogatory or demeaning to who other people are, or who they wanted to be, or who they dressed as, or whatever, anything like that. So I am in my circles that I saw and witnessed and I'm part of. I'm proud to be part of that circle. But I'm going to let that go now. That's a whole different topic. That could be hours. But I was the blessings of my life are these people. They are blessings in my life, and I'll say that they're absolute blessings in my life for being who they are, and I appreciate that. So on a completely different note, but also blessings. After all that, we're going to get to the substance of this thing. I'm going to say not me, but possibly me. My layout received more appreciation tokens this year at Bricks and Six. I will say that I didn't even know what appreciation tokens were before. No, I did some research and I have a history of it now, and I get again Brickworld, or I think they said Brickworld. That's when it first started, but I didn't get any appreciation tokens given to my layout until I think either two Brickfests ago as the first time. I don't think it ever happened at BrickFest. It may have happened at BrickFest, but I don't remember. But the first time I went to Bricks in the Six, there was appreciation tokens on my layout. And last year there was more appreciation tokens. And when I went to Brickomania, there was even more appreciation tokens. And now this show, yet even more appreciation tokens. And I find it just like getting the community cup for a year. I find this to be a very humbling experience. And again, I'm not going to start talking about the, oh, for crying out loud, it's just in my head again, tired and old. The imposter syndrome, because I got to talk about that a little bit this weekend. I'm not even going to talk about that right now, but I do find it humbling that people appreciate the layout enough to leave me appreciation tokens. People who I don't know, like I know my friend Jeffy loves me, and I know I love him. So hey, we give each other appreciation tokens because he deserves it, and I deserve it. But other people think my layout and or whatever is worthy enough for them to leave an appreciation token. And this is the first year I got to give out appreciation tokens, by the way. And Sandy got them for me, and they come in this nice little case. Yay! So I said I'm bringing 8. I'm only bringing 8. And when I give out 8, because I would have left I would have left appreciation tokens on literally everybody's display. I would have. As I say, there wasn't a bad mock there in the entire, from my perspective, not a bad mock in the entire show. There are some mocks that don't necessarily appeal to me, but I've always been a person who can try to separate what my likes are and what I appreciate from appreciating what other people would appreciate. Again, I love other people's appreciation. I really do appreciate that. so I'm saying appreciate a lot right now. But I really do look at how other people would see this stuff and say somebody or a whole bunch of people would appreciate that layout. So it might not necessarily be in my wheelhouse of something that I would really, I'm passionate about that specific thing, but I really love the person's passion for what they built. So I only brought 8, and I said I'm going to limit it to 8 because I don't want to leave appreciation tokens on literally everything. But let's just go over it really quick. Now, I do want to provise this. This is not all the appreciation tokens that I've received so far. There are, and I mentioned before, the first year I got appreciation tokens, the 5 or 6 of them, I tried to incorporate them into the layout. So they're still in the layout from my first year. If I could fit them nicely without them being too obtrusive, they're in the layout right now. And I've done that since then. But this row here in the back are what I got at Bricks in the Six, the second show, and Brickomania, fantastic. And this up here I got now. So this little row houses, Sandy found on Sunday. This beautiful building, this little train station with a train in front, absolutely gorgeous. This little tile, and the guy actually handed it to me, but he said he couldn't find a time when I wasn't there to hide it, so he just gave it to me. And this one, and I like this one because it's like the bearded guys. What's it say right there? Bearded Builders Guild. I gotta grow a beard just to be part of that, by the way. And then my friend Jason, I recognize his logo very, very easily. And then my friend Rick left me a sticker. So again, I'm humbled and I'm honored that my layout is worthy enough on this show to receive these things that people appreciate enough. And again, if I were tried to be an impartial judge of this, if I wanted to talk about my impartiality and appreciate what other people appreciate, or appreciate peoples who appreciate other stuff, I shouldn't be surprised that I got appreciation tokens, but just because of who I am personally, I am surprised. so again, we got the imposter syndrome, and it's hard to separate my feelings about my stuff versus what other people see about my stuff, and that's a whole other topic that can go on for hours. So I do really, and I just found this base plate now because these things were just sitting on my desk, kind of willy-nilly over here. So now they're kind of going to become a permanent fixture over there. So I will always look over it, and I will, again, love this hobby so much and love the people in this hobby so much that is something that they do and something that we do. And it's just one more thing it's just one more thing that just says, this is a really nice hobby overall. This is a really nice hobby where people care about people. It's a hobby, and this goes back to BrickFet, for the fans, by the fans. And Graham said the same thing. He's trying to make, and he has made his show to be for the fans, by the fans. And it is beautiful to see and beautiful to hang out at and beautiful to do for one weekend a year. And I plan on being to attend as many as possible in the future. That's basically about it. So that's going to be my last official big video on the Bricks in the Six. I'm probably going to keep on talking about it as I keep on making more videos. I do have some plans for the layout that I want to start building. Simple things, small things, things that are controlled by an RCX. So it's amazing. I don't even have an RCX within reach. I'm shocked I do not have an RCX within reach right now. So okay, so let's just talk about that for a quick second to go off on the final tangent to make this video even longer. A great many people were wondering, how am I powering the layout? And all of you know, who've been watching these videos for long enough, I'm bored to tears about all the videos I make about how I'm controlling the layout. But I explained to them the RCX, and there was this 6-year-old boy. I don't know, he could have been 7, he could have been 5, I don't know, but he was young. And he's looking at it, and I'm going, this kid's gonna go places. Because he's looking at the track. He's asked me some questions first, and he's looking at the track, and he's looking at the train stopping at every station, and he says to me, without looking behind the scenes, because again, the RCXs are behind the layout, he goes, you're controlling those trains with something computerized. And I go, huh? And he goes, it's probably Mindstorms. And I'm going, how does this little kid know about Mindstorms? And so I show him, and he goes, oh, that's the original Mindstorms. He doesn't know it's called the RCX, but he said, that's the original Mindstorms. Like, probably 2 decades before he was born. Right? Because he's 6, and I got that thing in 1998, right? So it is like, it's like, huh? so this is an honest to goodness fan of Lego. He knew what monorail was. I didn't have to tell him that. He knew how the monorail worked. He's 6 or whatever, and he knew what Mindstorms was. I'm going, this kid in our hobby, I want to hang around the next 30 years, by the way. So I'm going to stay healthy for the next 30 years because I want to see where this kid's going. Yes, it was awesome. It was like, oh, wow. And I'm having this conversation with him, and I'm showing him the bottom, the pickups and all that stuff that you guys are bored to tears watching me. But he's talking, and he's like, oh, and he fully understood everything I was talking about. And it was just nice to have that kind of conversation about the logistics and the power and the blah 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 with a 6-year-old, because I remember being 6 and loving Lego and wanting to have chats about Lego, about how the pieces come together. Like, I think if you remember just this year, I talked about old Legos, cool Lego, and I talked about the self-centering steering mechanism on the early 70s sets, the early 70s 6-wide vehicles, which, again, I don't think I have one out in display right now. They're all in bags. And you saw my enthusiasm about that thing, and I wanted to talk to other people about it at the time, about how cool that self-centering mechanism is. Now, in today's standards, that is just like nothing. But back when, in 1973, that's stupendously awesome. It was stupendously awesome. And the very first Technic brick, which was not the same as the Technic brick now, the 1x2 Technic brick, when I had the little black race car with the 2x3 windshield, fantastic. Like, I'm going, this is awesome. Who can I share this with? But it was pre-internet. This is 1977, 1976. And there's nobody to share it with. There's nobody to share me with my blue plane and stuff like that. And so here's this little 6-year-old who has the world at his fingertips via the internet, obviously. And he already knows what stuff is. So obviously he's passionate about Lego as a hobby, not just getting a set, building it, living on the shelf, but doing some research on it and knowing what Mindstorms is, knowing what Monorail. Monorail was discontinued 3 decades before he was born. like 1994 it was discontinued. Like, well, 2.5 decades. Like, I'm going, and this, but see, I enjoyed that conversation. I enjoyed all my conversation this weekend, but I remember that one. I remember most of them, but I remember that one because here I'm talking to this little kid about this stuff that, as you know from my 15 years of YouTube videos, I've been working long and hard on. And he's just like picking up on it like that. And I was like, oh, this is stupendous. This again. So when and even I get kind of in the dumps sometimes about the direction the world's going. But being my age is like, whatever. So I'll still come tomorrow. But I still have to fight my depression of the direction that the entire society seems to be wanting to go in. And then I meet a 6-year-old who's talking about Mindstorms, who's talking about Monorail, who understands what a rack is, who understands the gear mesh going with the... This is awesome. So I always find that it's the little, and this is a pithy thing that you always see in t-shirts, but it really is, it's the little things that bring such joy to people's lives. And that conversation brought so much joy to my life on that minute that it was, and again, this is why I love brick shows, first of all. And then he had some questions about this, that, and the other thing. And then we didn't get into a lot of technical details because, you know, his dad wants to go see the rest of the show. But I said, I'm here. I'll be here next year. There was a few people, few parents were asking me about if kids can come to the convention as the whole thing. And I say, as far as my understanding, I'm not in any in, but I think it's really adults only. Older teens can come, I think, if they got their parents' consent. I don't know, talk to Graham, I said. So there was a few conversations like that where people were asking if their kids could attend the actual convention as a whole. And I said, talk to Graham, because I do not know the policies. I don't believe young 6-year-olds are allowed to attend, but I can't say no because I know my kid attended conventions, but then they were with me. The kids can't be by themselves. But anyway, that can, or maybe I'll see this kid next year. So anyway, that's it. That's all. I was going to build something, but I'm getting really tired, as I can tell. And so I'm going to go to bed early tonight for a change. I know that I've been riding high on the convention for a few days now. And I think the body is not being able to keep up with the mind. You know, when you're my age, second thing that goes. Anywho, that's it. That's all. Everybody out there, stay safe, take care, and I will talk to you soon.